Hey guys, it is Dean. What's up? Welcome to Manflow Yoga. Just let me make sure that this is working first. I always like to test before I get started because it's kind of silly when I just talk to myself for 30 seconds and nothing's happening. So if anyone says yes, by the way, that will serve as confirmation that this is working. So if you want, say yes. All right, we've got one viewer. Cool. I think we're good then. So guys, welcome. I know this might not be the most convenient time for you if you're watching this live, but if you are not watching this live, or if you're watching this now or you want to watch it later, keep in mind this is going to be posted later on, and you can watch this on Facebook, and you can also watch it on YouTube. You'll be able to watch the whole thing again whenever you want. So let's talk about yoga and posture. So today, I want to bring up something that was brought up very often in a Facebook Live I did a couple of weeks ago. So a couple of weeks ago, I got on and I started talking about how yoga, or what you thought yoga could help you with physically, with your fitness. What could yoga help improve? And so, one of the biggest answers that I was getting was yoga for posture. So, can yoga help my posture? And it absolutely can. It's probably the best exercise, probably the best workout that you can do for improving your posture, the best modality of exercise that you can do for fixing your posture or improving your posture. But I wanted to go into specific reasons why it's so helpful for improving your posture. So let's see here. So I wanted to. So before you get started, I actually want to ask you, what are you doing right now? What's your posture like at this very moment? So if you are pressing down through your hips, if you're pulling your ribs up away from your hips, and you kind of, I'll aim down a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. But if you're pressing down through your hips and lifting your ribs up away from your hips, and your abs are tight, and you're lifting your sternum up, that's what you want to be doing in posture. And very often we don't have that type of posture. We're not doing that. And that's mainly because we just aren't used to doing it. There's a lot of reasons why we don't have good posture, and I'm going to walk through those right now. But the number one reason why people don't have good posture is because they don't have the body awareness or the attention to their body to maintain good posture. So even if you work out a lot, let's say you lift weights 5 times a week or 3 times a week, and you go running and you go cycling and you do all these things, but you don't focus on very slow, specific technical movements, then you're not going to have good posture because you're not focusing enough on those little details to make sure that you're keeping yourself upright and having good posture. So that's reason number one, and that's kind of a general encompassing theme of why yoga helps with posture. Now, before I go on any further, I do want to mention that not all yoga helps with posture. I think all yoga indirectly helps with posture, but not all yoga is as effective as other types of yoga. And particularly for Manflow Yoga, we've had fantastic feedback regarding our programs and posture. So actually the number one fitness benefit that people have noticed from completing my 21-day challenges, things like Yoga Body or Guy Yoga or the What, Why, How challenge, has been posture. People notice that they are holding themselves better, that they have better posture throughout the day, that what they're doing in their yoga workouts is translating into their daily life. So, and this is actually people saw more significant results with their posture than they did for anything else. People were most likely to say on a 1 to 5 scale, with 1 being not at all and 5 being totally, completely, people were likely to say a 3 or 4 in terms of, has yoga helped your core strength, flexibility in the course of 21 days. But when it came to posture, almost everyone said 4 or 5. So posture is one of the biggest things or the biggest results of Man-Flow Yoga programs that you can expect. But again, I wanted to go into the reasons why posture is so effective and talk about that a little bit more. By the way, if you want to read this blog, I've summed up some of these points into a blog at this link, manflowyoga.com/blog/fix-your-posture. And you can read more about specifics there, and it's a little more organized there. But if you want to hear it directly from me, and also hear a little bit more detail, then watch this Facebook Live. So number one, again, is the increased body awareness. So I talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but the biggest reason why people don't have good posture is because they don't pay attention to their posture. They just don't have the body awareness to think, what is my body doing right now? Or should I be sitting upright? Or what are my shoulders doing right now? Or what is my chest doing right now? Or is my core engaged? Am I hunched over? So unless you're doing something, unless you are dedicating your 100% attention to something or to a physical practice or to an activity that asks you repeatedly to fix your posture and to focus on your posture 100%, then you're really not going to work on your posture that much. You have to devote 100% of your attention to something that improves your posture for an extended period of time in order to improve your posture. So by doing 30 minutes of yoga or even 20 minutes of yoga, or maybe a 45, 60-minute session of yoga where you're constantly being reminded to lift your ribs away from your hips, to tighten your abs, to sit up tall, to pull your shoulders down and back, that's going to lead over into other aspects of your life. So that's going to translate over into situations like driving or sitting at your desk or standing in line at the grocery store. So the more you start to focus on your posture in your workouts, the more that's going to translate over into what you do on a daily basis. So the number one reason that yoga, and again, particularly Man-Flow Yoga, helps with posture is because of the increased body awareness. Now, not all yoga focuses on posture as much as Man-Flow Yoga, which is why I'm saying that, because not all yoga focuses on technique as much. In yoga, you are supposed to have good technique and you're supposed to have good posture. But if we're not being reinforced, if the instructor's not reinforcing that, then you might not be getting that, right? Because you might just forget and your shoulders might cave in and you just might do what your body's used to. So it's important that you have that constant reinforcement. And that's why I say in particular, Man-Flow Yoga is helpful for posture. All right, number two is improved shoulder and upper back strength. So one of the biggest reasons why people don't actually have good posture is because they just don't have the endurance or the strength in their upper back to hold themselves upright. And that's, we don't always think of that, but that's actually a significant reason. If I were to tell you to have perfect posture, so right now, put yourself into perfect posture, lift your chest up, pull your shoulders down and back, make sure that you're sitting straight up and down like this. And you're not rounding forward like this, but you're sitting straight up and down. You'd be able to do that for 30 seconds, for 60 seconds, no problem. The issues begin when you have to do that for a longer period of time. So if I were to tell you to do that for 30 minutes without reminding you to do it, or without reinforcing it, and without you getting uncomfortable, it might be much more difficult because most people lack the upper back strength and that shoulder strength to keep themselves upright without discomfort. So you might do it for 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, but then your muscles get tired and you'll start to round again like this, just because your body always chooses the path of least resistance. You are biologically wired to do what requires the least energy to accomplish a task. So if you're sitting in your chair, biologically, you have no reason to improve your posture. There's no survival mechanism saying, ooh, improve your posture right now, or you're going to die, or you're going to suffer. It just doesn't happen. So in order to have good posture, you have to remind yourself, you have to train yourself to do it. And again, you have to have that proper technique, and you need the endurance and the strength in your upper back to do it. So reason number two why yoga is really effective for helping you improve your posture is because it helps you develop that upper back strength and the shoulder endurance to hold your body upright. Now, you might think that you have a really strong back because you do a few sets of lat pull downs, right? So you do a few sets of these during the week, and you do maybe you do some shoulder presses, maybe you do some bench press or some rows, let's say. But unless you have, unless you're holding your arms or your upper back in that position for a longer time, you might not have the endurance. So you might have that strength to do it for the short term, but you might not have long-term endurance, right, to be able to hold it. So that's where yoga comes in and helping you build that endurance to be able to hold your body upright for an extended period of time. So reason number 2 is the shoulder and upper back strength. Reason number 3 is chest mobility. And one reason why we have really bad posture is because we're just really tight in our chest, right? We kind of fold forward like this, right? So most of us tend to sit like this during the day, right? We're over our computers, we're doing this, and we just don't have good posture. And so when we're doing that, it's tightening up the muscles in your chest. So every time you hunch over like this, right? Now I'll just aim this down. Every time you hunch over like this, these muscles get tight, your pecs get tight. Now, if you look at this position here, this is a very tight position for my pecs. Really, where my pecs should be is in this neutral position here. So my chest should always be open. I should always have this, this straightness through my body, right? So if you look at me from the side, my chest is open. My chest is actually sticking out. And, I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of working out. So I have a pretty developed chest. So it's easy for me to stick my chest out, but I can actually make my chest look much larger than most people because I'm having good posture. Most people have, well, I won't say most people, but I will say that a lot of people have a large enough chest that it will stick out when they're sitting up tall or they have good posture. What they don't have is the chest mobility or just that awareness or that habit of keeping their chest open. So what happens is they don't actually keep the chest open, and it looks like they have a smaller chest than they really do. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, if you have a chest mobility, so if you just stretch your chest more and you open up your chest and you get your arms overhead more, you're going to have better posture because you have better chest and shoulder mobility. Marissa Haas, hi, hello. All right, I'll just read a comment here. As a former athlete, I'm always into posture and how I'm feeling, looking, how I sit in the car, how I walk, thing like my man here is talking about. Thanks, yoga guy. Thank you, Jamal, for commenting. That's awesome. So as an athlete, you probably have a lot of body awareness already. I played sports too. I played lacrosse since I was 10, but I played sports since I was 5. I've been active mostly 7 days out of every week for the last 20 years. More than 20 years now. 23 years now. But anyways, and when you're moving more, you have more body awareness. So yeah. All right, let's move on. So I talked about improved chest mobility and improved shoulder mobility, and how having better chest mobility and a more open chest actually makes your chest look bigger. And that helps you and that's also part of what having better posture is. It makes your chest look bigger. It makes you look more confident. It makes people respect you more and even value your opinion more. So having better posture isn't just about having a healthy spine. It's also confidence. It's how people perceive you. It's how you perceive yourself. So it's much more than just physical. It leads over, it spills over into so many things. All right, so let's move on to number 4. And this is a big one. This is core strength. And so core strength, we talk about core strength in fitness, and we usually think of it in terms of, this is the six-pack muscles, or these are the muscles that I use for crunches, right, or ab work. But core strength is much more than that. Core strength is the center powerhouse of your body. All full body movements originate in the core. So if you're doing a squat, you're using your core. If you're doing a deadlift, you're using your core. If you're doing a high lunge or a warrior 2, the focus is on the core. It's getting everything into the center of your body. So without that core awareness or without that core strength, number one, your exercise is going to suck. But as it relates to posture, you won't have the strength to actually hold yourself up. So when you have poor posture, here's what this looks like. So when you have poor posture, what I'm going to do here, when you have poor posture, you don't have the strength to pull your ribs up away from your hips and sit upright. So So here, this is what core strength looks like. It's pulling up. Whereas if I did not have core strength, I would be sinking down like this, right? These muscles are totally inactive. They're turning to mush. But when I have my core tight, when I'm pulling my ribs up away from my hips and my abs are tight, that's what core engagement is, and that's what core strength is. But unless you're practicing core strength, then you don't have the core strength to do that during your everyday movements or just as a habit. So what you're developing with yoga is that habit and that core strength to be able to hold yourself upright throughout the day. But in order to get it, you actually have to practice it, which is why yoga is so helpful, because we're constantly reinforcing your abs. Something about yoga, a certain part of your body in any exercise should be doing a given movement. So your wrist should always be in a specific position in a certain pose. Your shoulder should always be in a specific position in a given pose, right? So there's things that your body should be doing in every posture. And yoga helps you reinforce that, because it's just constantly talking about what you should be doing in a posture. So without that reinforcement, you're not going to develop that habit. And you don't have that reinforcement when you're doing a lot of other types of exercises. And especially if you have a yoga instructor who's focused on the technique and is constantly reinforcing what you should be doing with your body, that's what's really going to make lasting, significant, and comprehensive changes. Tron, my dog just farted. That was gross, Tron. It's going to smell. So when you're focusing on your posture, when you're focusing on your core strength, and you're actually focusing on it for an extended period of time, and you're devoting your attention to it, it's going to lead over into other parts of your life. So anyways, core strength is reason number 4. And we have a question. How can you best build more core strength when you are overweight, particularly when most of the fat is stored in the lower abdominal region? Well, you can best build more core strength by just doing, yoga is one way to do it. Particularly if you're overweight, I would do work that's on your back. So I'd make sure that you're lying on your back and doing exercises that focus your core, that focus solely on your core. So instead of doing full body movements, you can focus specifically on the core. But if the fat is stored in your lower abdominal region, that just means that it's a diet issue. So you need to make sure that you're dieting well. You need to make sure that you're sleeping better. And then eventually, if you're following those principles, if you're working out regularly, if you are eating well, if you're sleeping well, and you're managing your stress, you will lose weight. That's it. All right, so let's move on. Number 5, back bending. So back bending, reason why, God, dogs. The reason why, reason number 5 why yoga is so helpful at improving your posture is because of back bending. And back bending is something that you rarely do in your other workouts. You might have 1 or 2 exercises that focus on back bending as part of your ab routine, but you're probably not doing a lot of exercises where your spine is in extension, where you're really getting your spine into extension and really leaning back, right, and really opening up like this, right? Most of us are going to be in a more neutral position, or even more regularly kind of hunched over, just because most of us don't have the mobility or the core strength to do proper movement. So back bending is incredibly important because it helps bring balance to your spine. So if you're spending most of your time hunched over, and we'll just assume that most people are, because you're sitting at a desk, you're driving, you know, the world that we live in kind of encourages you to hunch or to have bad posture. So in order to counter that, we have to do the exact opposite. We can't just go back to neutral. We have to go in the opposite direction. So in addition to our typical rounding spine right here, we need to do the exact opposite and get into that back bend and hold it for a long time and bring homeostasis back to our body. So reason number 5 why is yoga is so important for posture is because of the back bending element, and that you don't find that back bending element in a lot of other workouts. So back bending is incredibly important, not just for bringing balance back to your spine, but it also helps to strengthen your core. It helps you strengthen your core. It helps you stretch your chest, so that chest mobility aspect. It helps you improve your body awareness. It helps to improve your energy. There are tons of reasons why back bending is awesome, but the main reason why it pertains to posture is because of the core strength aspect and because of that bringing balance back to your posture with back bend as opposed to the forward fold or the rounding. And then reason number 6 that I've identified why yoga is so effective at helping you to improve your posture is the emphasis on proper spinal positioning. So this kind of relates back to body awareness and how your body is supposed to be in a specific position. This is just more specific, but in yoga, your spine should always be in a particular position. And for most postures, it's supposed to be in a neutral spine. A neutral spine, especially when we're doing things where it might want to go into a different position. So for example, like a warrior two position, a high lunge, a deep squat, we may have a tendency to put our spine into rounded positions, or to arch the back a little bit more. And in those positions, for the most part, we want to have a neutral spine position. So like in a high lunge, even though the tendency is to bend our back to go into extension, our spine, it should be neutral. And so why this is important in how it contributes to posture is because we're drilling proper spine position. We're repeating and reinforcing that proper spinal positioning in every exercise that you're doing. So it just goes back kind of to the increased body awareness and the fact that you are focusing on a specific position with your spine at all times. So just constantly reinforcing what your spine should be doing, and that leads to having better posture because you're building more body awareness, you're making it a habit. And so it's something that you won't just do in yoga, but that you start to do in all aspects of your life. So when you are driving, when you are standing in line at the grocery store, when you are sitting at your office at work, or sitting at your desk at your office, or just even sitting on the couch, you'll start to notice, oh, what do they say in yoga again? They told me to keep my spine neutral and to sit up straight. And so you'll notice that you start doing this. And I actually had a conversation with someone from my personal training program yesterday, my online personal training program, and he was saying that, and a general theme that he kept bringing up was he's focusing more on his body in everyday activity. So when he's gardening, instead of just bending over, he's actually kind of doing a bit of a chair pose and keeping his spine upright. Or when he's running, he's being more aware of his posture. So when you spend 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, how long a yoga session is, when you spend that time focusing on your posture and focusing on keeping your body upright and focusing the proper positioning of your body, it leads over into other things. So again, it all kind of goes back to that first point I made, that yoga helps to improve your posture because the main underlying, whatever that phrase is, the main theme here is that yoga helps to improve your posture because it helps you increase your body awareness. It makes you aware of your posture in the first place. So I think that's pretty good for today. Again, I wanted to talk about yoga and posture. And I should also mention, at this blog here, you'll find 50 minutes of tutorials, 50 minutes of tutorials and workouts that you can use to improve your posture. Particularly, we focus on a pose called boat pose to improve your posture, to improve your core strength. And we also have a quick 10-minute workout to help to improve every aspect of your posture, your hip flexibility, your core strength. There's back bending, there's chest opening, there's upper back strengthening. So it's a pretty comprehensive 10-minute workout that you can do anytime, whether it's, you're at the office and you've got an hour for lunch, or maybe you've got just a little afternoon break you can squeeze in. But anyways, that's a very comprehensive blog at the link in the description here, manfulyoga.com/blog/fix-your-posture. And I also just released hey, no Kaya. I also just released a brand new workout program called Fix Your Posture, which is a 12-week program that teaches you how to fix your posture, that gives you workouts specifically designed to fix your posture. And it's pretty cool because it breaks it up into 2 workouts that are a short workout and a medium workout. So instead of asking you to do a 60-minute workout every day, I'm actually breaking it up into one short 10 to 15-minute workout and a medium 15 to 25-minute workout. So you'll get, so you'll do one workout in the morning and one workout later in the day. So you're reinforcing the posture more often, and you're kind of bringing your body back to that position of neutral spine or extended spine more often to help counter the rounded position that you're doing in the day. And the more that you do that, the more that you'll start to fix your posture. So thanks for joining me today. Again, the questions that I had were, comments, and then I had a one question. How can you best build more core strength when you are overweight? Yoga is the best so yoga is actually the best way to build core strength when you're overweight, because if you're overweight, you're not, most likely, it's going to be difficult for you to do a lot of different exercises. So like, I would never send someone who's overweight into a CrossFit gym or to go for a run, because you're at a very high risk of injury because your body's just not ready for that type of stress yet. So if we can start with something that's gentler, that's more static, like yoga, where you're just getting to learn how to control your body, that's what you should be doing. And especially if you're overweight, there's so much potential for you. There's so much opportunity for you to get stronger when you're overweight, that you don't need to do the most, you don't have to do the most strenuous types of workouts you possibly can. Getting back in shape or getting into shape for the first time is a process. It's not a quick fix. So rather than get injured because you're trying to go 150% as soon as you begin, it makes much more sense to do yoga to help you develop a foundation of strength and core strength and balance and body control. And then you can start introducing more strenuous types of exercises. But if you jump straight to weightlifting or running, it's not going to work out very well. You've got to develop that foundational strength first before you move on to something that requires all of that foundational strength and then more. So I hope that was helpful. Steven, that question was for you. Hope you heard it. All right, guys, thanks for joining me again. I'll be coming on next week, I'm sure, sometime to talk more about yoga and posture. Actually, next week, I think I'm going to talk about yoga and knee health, which is a big, very personal topic for me, since I had knee issues when I was younger. I had knee injuries. I had knee surgery when I was 16. And so I've spent the last few years, probably the last 7 or 8 years, really learning about how to fix myself. And I found that yoga was actually, go figure, yoga is actually one of the solutions to helping to fix my knees. And it wasn't really my knees that were the problem. It was actually a symptom of much larger issue, having to do with my entire body, having to do with my hips, my core, my hip mobility, my ankle mobility, and my hip strength. So next week I'll be talking about that. I don't have a specific time yet, but if I do figure out what time it will be, I'll let you know so you can join me. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Have an awesome Thursday. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching this on Facebook and you found it useful, feel free to hit like. Feel free to hit share. It's greatly appreciated. All right, guys, see you later. Have a good week.